Hello, Alice.
Hi.
Thank you for being here today with us. We will talk about the Ngorongoro region and the national park. Let's start with the first question. How was the life before the national park, and what are the reasons the national park was found?
Okay. Life before the national park was like human settlement, where people could settle and do different daily activities, or I can say necessary activities like farming that could help support them in food or their livestock they keep. Um, Apart from that, they also could live together with the wild animals, but they had to depend on themselves, like to protect themselves from the wild animals, like because there was no government policies that had to like interfere and say like, okay, wild animals had to stay in that part and the humans, I mean the people had to stay in that part. So it was that different, and also there was less awareness of conservation policies, specifically for the natural resources like water or land. People were just freely using the natural resources without like considering that they have to like balance for everybody. That's why after the national park was found, the government had to interfere and put different policies, like they had to help balance the ecosystem and how people that live around there could also benefit from natural resources like the water, the food from the farming activities and all that.
Mm.
Yes.
And what are the reasons the national park was found?
The reason the national park was found, it's because they had to see like a potential from the area. Like they had big animals, like we have the big fives in Ngorongoro, like the big five animals like lion, elephant, buffalo, and others, which could have been like a big benefit, especially for us Tanzanians, considering that right now tourism is like among the main source of income, apart from other business activities. So that was the main reason, and also they had to see the need to protect the wildlife, because before that, like there was no protection for the wildlife because people were just living, and it was okay. Actually, okay, it wasn't okay, but it was less safe for the wild animals together also with the domestic animals. So there was a need to protect them. They had to like close borders, like this part is Ngorongoro National Park, and they had to keep policies, safety policies, to protect them also.
Okay. You also already like talked a little bit about the second question I have. How did the national park change the life of the native people who lived there in the area?
It has changed both positive and negative ways. If I could start with the positive ways, it has been a source of employment because they needed people to like work in the national parks, like to work as safety protectors for the place, the animals, also to work in the houses built for the tourists who would come, so they would be employed to be as hotel service people, and also it's a source of income for the people, the native people especially, because like they live around. They also benefit from it because they have to build like roads that the vehicles could pass when the tourists come. So they also benefit from that, like the roads. They can also use it too, like to get to the main cities, to get maybe their daily needs. On the negative part, it has destroyed, not actually destroyed, but it has affected settlements because they had to be moved out. Some communities had to be moved out from the national parks. So it has like affected them because they had settled and they had to move out. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we move on to the next question because like we are talking about changes, and did the ecosystem change in a positive or negative way, or did it even change at all?
Yeah, actually it did. In both ways. Ecosystem, we talk about balance of the natural resources. Well, we can consider the people as well. It has changed because we had to create awareness on how to conserve environment resources. Like I said, water and other resources as well. So like it has risen awareness to the native people who live around. Also, it has helped to protect the wildlife that was almost extinct. Because if not for the government to build policies for the national tourism activities, the wildlife could have been, like, some could have been extinct because there was no protection and safety measurements. So it has also helped that to keep the animals safe. Also, on the other side, it has led to environmental pollution as well, because like vehicles and tourists will go for camping sometimes in, let's say, a big area, and when we say environmental pollution, we can talk about air pollution, we can talk about water pollution. Yeah, we can talk also about this dumping of papers or trash just anywhere. So sometimes it also causes not literally direct effect to the wildlife, but also can be indirect because like air pollution can just spread carbon dioxide everywhere because people camp and they have to burn pieces of woods, and that affects the animals around. So it's also a problem for the ecosystem.
So it changed in both ways.
Okay.
You also talked about like tourism and the people going there before the national park was a real national park. How did the tourism change the life of the people? And does the tourism get on the nerve of the people living there, or do the people see the tourism in a good way?
I can say in a big percentage, tourism is actually it's actually nice. It's actually a good activity mostly in our country because it's the main, like I said, the main activity that brings income. We also get to interact with people from different countries. We get economically benefits, not only economically like capital, but also socially, like we get partnerships or good relations with other countries as well. So it's actually a good activity, I can say, in most of us. Yeah.
Okay. And has the national park affected the culture of the Tanzanian community at all, like with the tourism and all the other changes?
Yes. Well, it has affected because we get like visitors from outside the country, say from Western countries like here, Germany, or I don't know, America or somewhere else. When they come to Tanzania. They come with their culture and their ways of life, and in some cases they have to stay longer as tourists, let's say 1 month. So like as that activity goes on, people from like natives, like people who live in Tanzania, have to like cope with how the tourists live, how like they do their things. So it also affects the culture of the Tanzanians as well. So they have to like cope with how they live, because we need to serve the tourists, to let them enjoy the place. So we have to like go with their pace. You understand? Like go with their pace. Okay, they usually do this way, so we have to also like cope with how they always do their things to make them feel comfortable. And yeah, so I think it also affects when it goes on like that.
Okay, thank you at first, but now let's move on to another question I have.
Yeah.
Do you think the economic benefits of tourism in the national park are shared fairly among the local people? And if not, who gains the most and who the least?
So I can't be that precise, but I can say that it's a bit fair. As I said, I can be precise, like it's not fair. It's a bit fair because the local people are also allowed, like we are allowed to also have like tourist companies, like to have our own tourist companies where we like take tourists from outside countries. And also from that, say my family, let's say we have like a tourist company, okay, and that's not the government, it's ours, but from that we gain income, like me and my family gain something, but from that we also pay tax, like different tax. We can pay hotels for the tourists. The money that goes to the hotels also goes to the government. So like it's both ways, they both benefit. Like the local people and the government both benefit from it.
So it's very balanced.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice. It's
okay.
Balanced. Yeah.
Fine. My next question is, has there been any conflicts between the local people and the park authorities or the government? If yes, what were the conflict points, and how was it solved, if it was solved at all?
There was a conflict, specifically in Ngorongoro National Park, between the Massai group and the government, because the government wanted to like maintain the area, the national park, in ways that felt like it affected the Maasai group. Like they had to move because there were a lot of them, and the pressure inside that area, combining it with the wildlife, it was too much. So the government had to like try to balance the Maasai group together with balancing like the national park. So they had to put like I can say a strict policy to the Maasai that they have to move, like they have to move because we need to keep this area, we need to preserve it, because the pressure was big in land. They had to like fight for land, like they needed to settle together with the animals. It was so hard. They also had like livestock needed to settle, and it was difficult because wild animals will also affect the livestock. No? So it was not sorted out because the Maasai had to like reject, because they claim that they had been living there for years, and it doesn't sound fair for the government to just say, okay, move. Like it doesn't sound fair. So although some did move, but some did not want to move. So there was still some
conflict between
yeah
okay, and the government and the tribe.
Massai tribe. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the last question. We talked about the past, the present. Let's now talk about the future.
Yep.
How do you see the future of your community in the Ngorongoro region? And what do you think are the expected benefits or negative aspect in the future?
Of the Ngorongoro,
Yes.
the people living in
Yeah.
Ngorongoro. Well, also can't be that precise, but I think there's a positive effect, like future positive, because it's actually they gain from it, like they get employed, they get capital, they get to socialize with people from outside. They also get to, because they're the Maasai communities are people who do farming and pastoralism, which is like keeping livestock. So they get to sell livestock like cows, sheep, and all that. They also get to sell their farm products, maize, beans, or so that mainly gives them a positive effect. So I think it's going to be like a good way they could keep on doing. But we can't expect much because the government is still working on it. Like they still have to move. I don't know if it's all of them, because I can tell. But the government is still working on them. So
mainly it's a good future for me.
Mainly it's a good future, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for talking with us today here.
Thank you too.
And I wish you a good evening.
I wish you a good evening and a nice trip to Tanzania.
Thank you.